What's up, guys, and welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today we're back on our 1974 Ford F100. We're going to call this Mr. Gray because if you saw the last episode on this truck, we put a new rear end under it, and then we took that rear end out. We put another rear end under it, and we got our brakes back on it, our backing plates back on it. Everything is hung under the back end. Now, when I was putting the U-bolts back in it, one of these, one of the ones that I had already had, actually stripped. I got it almost tight, and the bolt just let go and stripped. So, makes me question the quality of these. These came as part of a lift kit that I had bought many years ago for this truck. Luckily, though, I went and had some brand new ones made, and had this done at Nashville Spring Service in Nashville. And I don't, I like to support local businesses, but I want to tell you what, these guys right here, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, I literally walked in and said, "Can you sell me some of these?" And he's like, "No, we'll just make them." So I walked back there with him, and he proceeded to physically build 4 U-bolts for me. So did it in just a few minutes. I think I've got like $50 in all 4 of them. So kind of hard to beat. So shout out to Nashville Spring Service. I would say if you guys need that kind of stuff done, go see them. I'm not sponsored, I paid for this, but either way, I really appreciate what they did for me. Also, I bought a set of, or at least 2 Rancho shocks for the rear. The shocks that are on this truck are way too long for it, and I don't really know how that happened, but I mean, I lifted the truck, but it's been so long ago. I mean, this has been, man, it's probably been 15 years ago. And I don't remember them being too short, but they are. So, and I've also got one shock that the shock rod's bent, so it needs a new set. I think these will fit. I measured it out, and these look right, so we'll see how that works. Also, while I was at it, I picked up a transmission mount because the rubber in that transmission mount has let go, most likely from abuse. I replaced that, I think about when I did the lift. But either way, it's the rubber's, I think it's actually broke, so got to do that while we're here. Got some basic engine oil to go in the transfer case because it looks like it's been leaking some. Not sure where, but it calls for 1030 or 1040 in the transfer case of this particular Spicer. So we're going to do that while we're here. Make sure that's all nice and topped off. I got a pinion seal also because the only leak on that replacement rear end that I can find looks to be coming out of the pinion. So we'll stick a pinion seal in there while we're at it. Also got some brake line, some hard line, and I'm going to go ahead and just replumb all of the brake line that goes across the rear axle housing. Just go ahead and make sure all that's new, end to end and clean. I already have a new hose coming down from the truck that I bought quite some time ago, so that should be good to go. The only thing that I'm not going to have for this project probably is the drive shaft. I dropped the drive shaft off in Nashville last week or earlier in this week, and it's not done yet, so it needs to be shortened by about 3/4 of an inch. It's weird. This is another thing that I don't really remember. The drive shaft that was in that truck, it fits in the truck, but you have to pull the caps off, of the crosses to get the thing in there because it's completely and totally collapsed, like all the way collapsed completely, and I'm afraid it's going to end up breaking a tail shaft or bending the drive shaft or something like that. So that had to happen, so we'll wait to get that back. But otherwise, that should be a almost ready to go back on the road deal. We'll also walk around the front of the truck too, underneath, and just kind of look at it and see, because again, it's been a long time since I touched the truck, and I've used it quite a bit. I mean, it's got some time on it, so just going to make sure everything is still good shape. So let's go under the truck and let's start probably with U-bolts because that seems the most important. I guess to give ourselves a little bit of room, I'll try and grab this shock and knock it off here real quick. Came off way easier than I thought it would. This is the one with the bent shaft. Yeah, I can actually see that it's bent right there. We'll just throw that on the floor. Here is our old brake line, and this is our new hose, and actually this isn't even right. I'll have to fix that up while I'm at it too. All right, U-bolt time. Hopefully this will just go in no problem. Oh, and it does. Nice. Wow, those things fit beautifully. Didn't even have to like squish them down or anything. Unheard of. These things are supposed to be about 130 foot-pounds. Probably should raise the truck up a little bit. Alright, that's got a good pre-torque going on them. I think what we'll do is, now that they've got a good pre-torque on them, I think I'll just go ahead and continue on with what I've got going on under the truck. And then once we get the truck on the ground, or once we get closer to being done, I'll take the trolley jack and lift it up, pull the tires off of it, so I can get in there and really torque them. That may be best to do from the ground, just so I've got plenty of room to swing that 9-mile long torque wrench. All right, to the other side. All right, that's one. Here's that U-bolt that I was talking about that basically pulled its threads off. I mean, I'm not an airline pilot or anything, but I don't think U-bolts are supposed to do that unless they're just unquality. All right, we got basic torque done on those. Like I said, I'm gonna do a final torque, I think when it's down on the ground, where I can take the tires off of it and get a good pull on that breaker bar. But I'm gonna go ahead and see what we've got as far as shocks. See if they're gonna work, gonna fit or not. I missed something. I forgot my big rubber biscuit thing. All right, let's route this brake hose through its hanger. Ooh, what size is it? It's no size. It's definitely 3/8. I just don't want to. Oh, I see. It's had the vice grip syndrome a few times. It's going to get it again. Just stuck. All right. It's supposed to be up like this, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. I would love to get a 3/8 on that to be able to tighten it. It's not going to happen though, is it? Oh well. So presumably all I need is a clip to go back there. At least that is somewhat more right. And also, this right here is a parking brake cable. We're going to try to take care of those during this little adventure today as well. Well, my new Rancho shocks, one of them didn't come with the hardware pack, and it was in the sealed box, so it must have not been put in at the factory. It's kind of disheartening. So I get to use these completely worn outish ones, but that's what's gonna happen. Just gotta persevere sometimes. I'm an idiot. Keep on putting my wrenches away. It's unlike me. Can't get my wrench out. Oh, there it goes. Those are 5/8. They are 5/8. That's a 5/8. Well, that's weird. Is that really 5/8? 3/4. Explains that. How do you guys put stickers on the shocks? Do you put them on the front, or do you put them on the back? I don't know. But I think I'm going to put these on the back. Because, let's face it, not many people are underneath my truck from the front side. This way, like this, right here. I think brake lines are next. Walking around here like crazy, looking all over the place for my brake line that I bought, and found it. It's in the bed of the truck. I went 25 minutes, I'll never get back. So on our brake hoses, I think the best thing that I can do here is undo these little retainers and take this thing out as a unit, possibly. Maybe lay this on the table and bend it as closely as I can to match this one. I'll just build this side first. Goes from here at this little junction and all the way over to that wheel cylinder there. I'm thinking that's the best thing. I'm pretty sure these things just bend closed. Yeah, they do. That one, and I guess that one goes from the top, probably. That goes from the top, yeah, okay. There. So that's a brake line for that side. For this side, I've already got a brake line here that technically kind of works, but it's all chewed up and I don't really want to use it. I would rather bend one that is custom and correct. So I have this piece that I think I'll just use that and bend it the way I want it. In fact, I may start on this side since it's kind of low-hanging fruit. We're going to pull this off. I'm pretty sure there is no way that I'm going to be able to get that off. So 3/8. Oh yeah, I can. Cool. There we go. When the wheel fell off, my solution was to just cap that off. So I just put a NPT, I think that's NPT, cap on it, so at least I wouldn't lose all my brake juices. That's a moot point now anyway. Boy, my face is blown out, isn't it? You see that bright light? That's snugged up. So it should be pretty easy bend, I would think. It's like I can just come off of this and bend down to the axle, maybe back some. And this thing is going to be way up here. There. So it's going to have to come in, start right about here, it looks like. And then maybe like that. That'll get it closer to the axle housing. And that'll make it look like it was put there on purpose. Then it looks like we can just kind of start going up with it about right here somewhere possibly. Something like that, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty good. We just got to get our length right now. Since I've got a couple of good bends here, I can actually massage it this way and that way if it comes down to it. There we go. These little close quarters brake line cutters, those are handy. So it's going to look something like that, which I'm okay with, I think. All right, let's pull this off the truck and we'll get a flare on it. Do a little cleanup here on the inside of this. Make sure my 3/16 double flare die will fit it, and it will. Die out of the way. Right. Should be a pretty good double flare. Yeah. Nice. Now we should be able to put this up there and test fit it. Okay, what I'll do, other than getting all scientific, I'll just pop this out and do it this way. There. It's not touching anything. It's got plenty of relief to it. And it's not going to hang on anything. All right, I'm going to leave that one just loosely up there, and we'll turn our attention to the long one. So I think rather than just trying to bend this one to match the other one, I think what I'm going to do instead is just, custom bend it here because it's not that intricate. I think it'll just be easier to do it that way. So the fittings that are on this line are not exactly right. So I'm gonna pop those off and we'll replace them. I'm gonna go ahead and slide both of these fittings off. That way I'm sure to forget them. I'm just gonna pop this in and then go ahead and bolt this back up where it's supposed to be. And it should just be a matter of bending this stuff to fit. Alright, so that's going to come out at the U-bolt. It's going to run over the top of the U-bolt. We'll start getting really close to where we want to be. Alright, it's a nice flare. Clean. Let's do this side. Alright, that should be a roughly made brake line. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to put this side in it, screw it in. Alright, so that is pretty good right there. Let's go ahead and screw this one in. Before I set this thing on the ground and bleed the brakes, a couple more things we need to do while it's in the air. One of the things is this transmission mount right here. It's not really mounty anymore. Not sure if I can do this with the truck up in the air or not. I gotta find some way to jack that transfer case up. I don't have one of those spinny jack stand things here, although I do own one. Also, this is the parking brake cable, and it is not where it needs to be. I got to figure out where it needs to be and put it there. And this is what's going on currently with the parking brake. That ain't right. So I got to figure that out too. So I guess I'll start with the transmission mount, since that's going to be the hardest thing to do. Oh yeah, and I need to fill the transfer case too while I'm down here. All right, we have a bolt that goes all the way through. It's a 9/16 with a 9/16 nut on the back side. Nut in the bolt. Those look like about 5/8 or 3/4. Those are 3/4. Question is, how do we get to them? Because I can't get a socket in there, ratchet in there for sure. For sure. And if I get it on that side, how in the world will I get it on that side? How about a 3/4 inch wrench? Will that do it? I figured these things would actually be tight, wouldn't you? They're not even close. This exhaust is right in the way. Good grief, how long is this thing? Okay, there's one. This one should be just no problem whatsoever. Gosh, it's loose too. Both these mounts are loose. All right, the bolts are out now. The one going through here, the one that goes up on that side, and the one that goes up right there. Those are all out. Hopefully, I can work it out so that I can relieve pressure on the transfer case, push everything up, and maybe just walk the whole thing out. I don't know. What if that exhaust? I definitely can. No problem at all. Need a longer prob bar. Longer prob bar. Actually, doesn't look that bad. I'm going to replace it because it's the tail shaft of the transfer case was hitting the floor. Okay, getting there. Now I just got to line up the bolt holes. That should suck. This thing has a particular way it goes in, I think. It goes in like that. It's got to go in like this. So the blue dot away from me. There we go. There we go. Okay. One bolt. If you're doing this job at home, that's the secret. Relieve pressure and you can screw the bolts in easily. Okay, that was rather uneventful. A little bit fiddly, but we have transmission mount again. With that done, let's turn our attention to this emergency brake conglomeration that we have going on here. I don't think that's right. I actually, for once, didn't do that. I'm happy to say. I did replace here these cables here, going back to the brake drums. That's my doing. I was hoping that maybe they would be shorter and it would fix this mess here, you know, get me a little further out. But what it looks to be, almost looks to be that this cable here is maybe too long for the truck. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any adjustment up in the cab at the pedal or not. I need to go looking at that deal. But I like to get the parking brake hooked back up on the truck so that it works again, being a manual transmission and all. You don't usually use it, but you know, be nice if it worked. So I think we're going to have a look at that. I guess before I do that, let me go ahead and top off the fluid in the transfer case up here. Should be a 9/16 plug. No problem. Let's see if there's any in it. Well, it didn't run out. Oh, that's it right there. We're full. Whoa, we're full. Man, are we full. No idea where the plug went. Found it. Well, at least we're not over full. Well, that was about a half a quart, or a little over half a quart, maybe about three-fourths of a quart. We'll have to work on that leak at some other point. Okay. Lucky for me, I already had oil dry on the floor, thinking ahead. Actually, just lazy, didn't clean it up from the last time. I guess while we're under here, we may as well go ahead and take care of this pinion seal. It does look like it's been leaking. So, let me try to get some of the years of crud off this thing, and then we'll get it replaced. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to take it apart by marking the nut and the pinion and counting the number of turns we take it off. And we're going to put it right back on so we don't have to mess with preload and all of that, have to take it apart, so I don't really want to do that. So we'll take ourselves a cold chisel. I'm going to put a mark right there. Then on the nut, I'm going to put a corresponding mark on it. There we go. And then for the yoke, I'll go ahead and put a mark on the yoke too, just so when it comes time, everything lines right back up, right where we had it. That is that. Hopefully, with any kind of luck, we can work this thing off. This is going to be 1 1/16 inches without making the truck run over us anyway. All right, so there we go. So we're broke from it. So now all we got to do is count the number of turns that we take it off. So when we put it back on, we will put it back on and we will tighten it back to exactly where it was. All right. So here comes one turn, two turns, 3, 15, half, 16 turns is roughly what we had to get that off. All right, 16 turns. Here comes that. And there's our pinion seal. This thing does not seem bad. I guess it's a little droopy right there. I have almost no deflection in that pinion whatsoever, so it's in pretty doggone decent shape. There again, this whole rear end seemed like it was in really, really good shape. Before I drive that out, let's make sure this is the right seal. I'm not convinced that's the right seal. That's because that's not the right seal. Man, I'm glad I checked that. I'm very glad I checked that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to stick it back together and we're going to get the replacement, the correct seal for it, because that one is not right. Well, it's the next day and I went ahead and ran and got the, at least I hope, the correct pinion seal for this. The first seal that I got was actually for the Dana 44. That was my fault. I actually ordered it by part number, and I guess I just looked at the wrong one when I wrote it down, so that was completely my bad. Anyway, let's put a seal in. All right. Let's make sure this one looks the same before we go crazy. Looks good there. Looks good there. All right, I believe we have the right seal. Got it. I took a chip out of that right there with my chisel like an idiot. I should have known better. That's okay. I've got another one of these. If it leaks, I'll replace it. I'm going to put a super thin coat of Permatex around this bearing, around this seal before I drive it in. Should have that back in. Got some oil on here where it goes into this seal, so it shouldn't start running dry. Marks are lined up. There's that. All right. Do a little more cleanup right here. I'll also put some Permatex on the end of this nut where it goes up against the pinion to try to keep oil from walking back out. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3. So that's pinion seal done. I don't think it's going to leak where I have that cracked out of there. I don't know. Like I said, if it does, I've got another little housing I can put on there. It's not that, actually I've got 2 of them, so it's really not that big of a deal. Well, since our pinion is back in there, let's go ahead and put some fluid in this rear end. I know we lost some of it earlier. If I didn't have freckles before, I do now. This just takes a 3/8 ratchet. Come out. I don't think this is going to be too terribly low. Of course, I could be wrong, I guess, huh? Object is to fill it up till it runs out of the hole. And also be right under it, so when it comes out of the hole, you have stinky, nasty gear oil all over you. It's 1 bottle down. Oh, and we're full. So it took about 1.5 bottles. I don't think it was, I really don't think it was leaking, because, you know, it took about 1.5 bottles, but I also got to remember I had both axles out of this thing and it was on the floor and it was pouring fluid like crazy, you know, out of the axle tubes. So I'm pretty sure this rear end does not leak, which I'm a little uncomfortable with. Everything I have leaks. Bet you're tired of looking at my rear end, aren't you? Let's move on to something else. I went ahead and hooked up the parking brake cables. They're in the backing plates like they're supposed to be. I've gone ahead and got them adjusted, but I still need to finish bleeding the rear brakes. On this side, I opened it and let it gravity bleed. It did a pretty good job. This one actually works. This one over here, I never did get fluid out of it, so I've got to figure out what's up with that. Maybe make sure I didn't accidentally kink that line, though I know I did and I was really careful about it. Looks like I've got to get this parking brake cable tied over some, because you see it's wanting to lay up against the exhaust right there. So I need to get that took care of. And yeah, I think bleeding the brakes and waiting for the drive shaft would be the next thing. If the drive shaft comes in pretty quick, I'll stick that in and we'll run this thing down the road and see what we've got. Let's have a look at some future projects that need to happen on this truck. Obviously it needs to be greased because some of these joints are looking a little bit dry. I've got an oil leak. I don't really know where it's coming from. Honestly, it almost looks like it's coming from the fuel filter, or the fuel pump housing there, but I just put that fuel pump on there, so I wonder if maybe that's old oil. And honestly, this over here kind of maybe looks like power steering fluid, but maybe power steering, I don't know. I don't think I have a front seal leak on it because it's awfully dry at the pan right there on the front. But something that did stand out to me is, see right in front of that shock right there, there's a soft brake line there that's just touching the shock. And it looks like maybe there used to be a mount of some sort there. It's not there anymore. That's not right. And then this entire brake line, it almost looks like it may be the factory line, but it looks like it's had some, well, it's seen some things. And this one over here is exactly the same way. I don't even see where there would have ever been a mount for that, but we're gonna have to come up with something to make that right. Looks like I may have a leak here. Maybe the rear main leaking some. It's kind of hard to tell. That would be, I don't think I want to do that. I'll put the engine in this truck back about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. And I'll put a new clutch, throw-out bearing, pressure plate, and rear seal in it before I ever did this. So I don't think it's well, it could be a rear seal. I mean, you know, things fail. I don't know. But I definitely have a leak there on the transfer case, and I don't know if it's, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's somewhere in that general vicinity there. And I guess I'm gonna have to just buy a parking brake cable, the cable that goes from this point here all the way up and into the cab of the truck. That's the only thing I see that I can do, because the parking brake is set right now, and you can just see that it's, I don't know, that cable right there is just way too long. It needs to be probably 6 inches, 7 inches shorter, maybe more, because the parking brake's all the way on the very floor of the truck right now. It works, but it's just way down there. So that's coming, I guess, on a future video as well. Well, it's been about a week now, and we have our drive shaft back from the shop. It's actually not our drive shaft. The shaft that I took up there was so badly worn right here that basically the shop said, well, you know, it's going to vibrate and be terrible when you drive. So I went ahead and just had them remake the shaft. So it's a brand new shaft. Hopefully it'll be wonderful. So let's stick this drive shaft in and run it up the road, and we'll see if it's cured. Smooth as silk, maybe? Well, so far so good at about 40 miles an hour. Yeah, that's way smoother than it's ever went down the road. Gotta do some front end work on this thing. It kind of wants to bounce everywhere. But yeah, I think that's got it pretty much cured. Next thing we're gonna have to do is deal with this seat. I put this seat in here a long time ago, and it's not real good. It's too big for the truck, so it shoves you up against the dashboard too much. Hard to use my footprint gas pedal, so we're gonna take care of that. I've got another seat, another cover, got some carpet going in here. That'll probably be the next video on this thing, but for now it seems like it's back on the road and doing pretty good. Well, that puts this old Ford F100 back on the road, I believe. Got to do something about my windshield wipers, because yeah, they ain't great, but so far so good. Guys, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. I'll see you next time.